Pharmaceutical Sciences, and she serves as the chair of the Department of Bioanalysis. She directs the Center of Excellence in Mycotoxicology and Public Health, focusing on the detection and health impact of mycotoxins. That is an harmful compound produced. Please mute yourself. Please mute yourself, please. Mute yourself. Mute yourself. Everybody kindly mute yourself. Thank you. So as I was saying, he directs the Center of Excellence in Mycotoxicology and Public Health impact of mycotoxins. That is an harmful compound that produced by certain fungi and that's used to contaminate food and feed. Professor De Silga also leads MITOS and MITOS South, which is an international network that promotes interdisciplinary and cross-border collaboration in mycotoxin research. In this Uprise project, Professor Sarah De Silga served as the project coordinator, and this project is funded by the European Union's Horizon Europe program with a budget of €5 million. And this project commenced in January 2024 and is set to run for 4 years. And the aim is to enhance food safety systems in 5 African Union member states, which are Benin, Cote d'Ivoire, Nigeria, Kenya, and South Africa, by addressing mycotoxin contamination in food products. Permit me to stop here and to invite our speaker for today, Professor Sarah De Silga, to take us through what this project is all about and how Africa stands to gain from the project. Thank you, Prof. You have the floor.
Thanks a lot, Adewale, for this very nice introduction. And yeah, it's really my pleasure to be here and to give this session today on the Uprise project. So thanks again for inviting me. I will first try to share my screen. So just a second, I will. Yes, so I guess now you can see it in the full screen.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. Then let me start. Okay. So yes, as was already said, I will briefly introduce to you this rather big project, which is called Uprise, and which is in fact an abbreviation for the full title, which is the EU-AU Partnership for Resilient, Inclusive and Safe Food Systems for Everyone. So as said, it's an international project between European Union and African Union, in which we are trying to provide new knowledge to better understand mycotoxin contamination and for sure to deliver more solutions in Africa. Okay. So as was said, this is indeed a call, which is this is indeed an answer to a call from the Horizon Europe program, the Farm to Fork program. And specifically, there was a call intended to have this collaboration between the European Union and the African Union on food safety. So the call was launched in 2023, and we were successful and we could start in 2024. So if we were reading the call, it was quite a very broad topic that was presented, because the call text was writing that this project should improve African food safety systems and should provide building blocks for improved food safety in Africa. Besides, they also ask to improve climate, environment, and food systems, reducing losses by mycotoxins, enhance local transformation, local markets, and regional trade, while at the same time reducing impacts on environment, biodiversity, health, and society. So indeed, a very, very holistic approach was wanted by the Commission. So as was said from Ghent University, so we are coordinating this project. So it's myself together with my colleague, Professor Siska Krubels. We have many different partners. We have partners from the European Union. We have partners in Italy, CNR, in France, CIRAD, and in the Netherlands, Wageningen University. While, as already said during the introduction, we focus on 5 countries in Africa. So we have selected those 5 countries because it was also asked by the Commission to have at least different AU regions. So we have from West, East, and South regions of the African Union. So indeed, a bit more specific, in Kenya, we work together with the University of Nairobi, in Nigeria with the Federal University of Technology in Minna, in Benin with the Université d'Abomey Calavi, in Côte d'Ivoire, Université Nangui Abrogwa, and in South Africa, University of Johannesburg. Besides, in Africa, we also closely collaborate with the African Union Development Agency New Partnership for Africa's Development, which is known as ADA-NEPAD. Very important, as we will see later in my presentation, because in this way we have a direct link with the African Union and with the implementation of our project results. Another partner is in Belgium. It's ADS Insight. They take care of everything dealing with communication, dissemination, and also with some training and mentoring aspects of the project. As was said, the project will last 4 years. So it means we started last year, 2024, in January. So we are now busy for 1 year and some months. Here you can see our consortium. This was taken during the first consortium meeting here in Ghent, in Belgium, in January 2024. So, as you have seen, the call text was large. It was on food safety in general, but also they specified that mycotoxins should at least be one of the important topics in this project. But we have decided to work only on mycotoxins as one of the major food safety issues in Africa. Because, as you all know, in 4 years' time, it always goes very fast. So it's impossible to work on the complete food safety system in just 4 years. So therefore, we wanted to go in depth and specify one topic, mycotoxins. It was already briefly mentioned that mycotoxins are produced by fungi. And as the name says, they are very toxic. They can result in many adverse health effects for animals and for humans. Some are carcinogenic, other are immunosuppressive, or some are associated with retarded growth. So the thing is that we are all exposed to them daily in our foods. And in this slide, you just see some examples. For instance, maize is one of the most sensitive crops for mycotoxin presence. But also other cereals, like here, for instance, in Belgium, we eat a lot of wheat, and also wheat is quite intensively contaminated with mycotoxins. Same for fruits, for nuts, for spices. And you can also see in the right corner milk, because if we feed our animals with mycotoxin contaminated feed, it also comes into the milk. Now, also there are so many different mycotoxins and so many different fungi. You can just see some of them, the most important ones on this slide at the left side. But for Uprise, we have selected the big 5, what we call the big 5 of the mycotoxins. So we have aflatoxins, ochratoxin A, deoxynivalenol, zearalenone, and fumonisins, on which we will focus our project. This brings me indeed to the different objectives of the project. We have 5 main objectives, and we have structured them as the 5 building blocks of our project. The first one is a very important one. It's a roadmap for a shared quality culture and integration of the informal sector in the African food safety system. What is important here is that with this project, we are specifically targeting to work with the informal sector. I think you can all imagine that this is very, very difficult. It's really a challenge, but why do we want to focus on the informal sector? Because of course we know that more than 75% of all intra-regional trade in Africa, in sub-Saharan Africa, is occurring through those informal markets. So, and that's why our project is focusing on addressing food safety risks associated with limited infrastructure and with limited capacity. So this is a big challenge, and how are we going to deal with that? So we are now working very closely with some selected informal food business operators. I will come back to that later, but we are directly working with the informal sector in this project. I think this is quite innovative to do it that way. So in this building block, there are 2 different objectives. The first is indeed that we will try to increase the understanding of food safety in the informal sector. So this is about awareness creation, about training on good practices. And on the other hand, we will also try to assess and recommend ways to promote and maximize the informal sector's participation and possible integration in the formal food system with regards to food safety risks. Important to tell you is that we are writing possible integration in the formal food system, because we also know this is a very huge challenge, and maybe that's also not what we really want or need, but at least the food safety should be the same in the formal and in the informal sector, and that's what we are targeting and what we try to further promote. In our second building block, that's about food safety regulatory frameworks. So here we want to strengthen those frameworks, both in formal and informal sectors. So here we are going to combine both sectors, and just to have like a cross-fertilization between formal and informal sectors concerning food safety regulatory frameworks. Again, we only focus on mycotoxins. In this building block, we have 2 different objectives. The first is to implement a regulatory food safety framework and solutions aimed to create a better quality culture at the SME level. So again, we are only working with small businesses, with small business, food business operators, SMEs. How are we going to do that? We are trying to get ways to have the SMEs better organized in view, for instance, of lower costs of certification and lower cost of conformity assessment, so that for SMEs it becomes more accessible to be part of the food safety system. Besides that, we also are working on an improved tool for risk assessment, including long-term health risk of mycotoxins, because we know that risk assessment specifically for each country is very important for the regulatory system, because you need real evidence, not just evidence from Europe or from other countries, but you need the evidence in your own country. So that's why we are working on these improved tools for risk assessment for those 5 countries. Our third building block is on early warning, because we all know that mycotoxin contamination can change due to the climate change. So in this respect, we have two very important objectives. The first is that we are developing monitoring systems and early warning systems, so already on the field, so that farmers can predict or can use this predictive tool to know if there is a risk for fungal contamination or for mycotoxin contamination. So that's the first objective, and by using these systems, these predictive systems, we hope that it's more easy to adapt to climate change and to reduce the increased risk to food safety. The fourth building block is more on the processing level, and so the third was more on the farming level. The fourth is on the processing level. So here we are going to prevent food losses and improve food safety by providing innovative microbiome-based solutions for nutritious food. What do we mean with microbiome-based solutions? In fact, what we are looking at is fermentation as a very interesting food processing technique. We all know that fermentation of food can lead to more nutritious food, to food that is better, easier to digest, and so on. So we know there are a lot of health benefits related to fermented foods. We also know there are a lot of traditionally fermented foods available on the African markets. And research has also shown that fermentation can reduce the mycotoxin levels. And so that's what we are going to study in this project to check how fermentation can indeed lead to lower mycotoxin levels in the food products. For this, we are also looking to this processing step. So we start from the traditionally fermented foods, from traditional knowledge, and we study together, and this is directly together with the informal businesses. So we work with them so that they can see the whole process of our research. And the idea is indeed to further then scale up these traditional fermented foods. The last building block is on co-creation, training and monitoring. Very, very important. First aspect, co-creation is extremely important. So that's, again, why we closely collaborate with informal sector, so that they feel the ownership of this collaboration and of the innovation. Besides co-creation, we also are taking a lot of care on training. So we are piloting training systems to help the informal sector towards compliance with food safety and quality schemes. I come back to that later in more detail. And last but not least, we also implement a multi-actor approach. So besides the food business operators and besides the researchers, the consortium, we also work closely together with other food system actors, such as, for instance, food safety authorities. I will come back to that later. Then you can also see in the fifth building block that I mentioned, mentoring, very, very important. There are two aspects of mentoring in our project. First of all, we are going to, during the whole 3 years that are still there, we are mentoring the food business operators. And next, as you can see on the picture on this slide, we are also training our own PhD students which take part in this project. So here, for instance, the picture was taken in February this year in the University of Johannesburg, where we had a consortium meeting and where all our PhD students got different trainings. And one of them, what you can see here, is a training on the use of rapid test kits for mycotoxin detection. So all of these building blocks We have then put them together in a working plan, as you can see here, 4 different work packages, which correspond to the first 4 building blocks. So those are the, let's say, technological innovations that we are aiming at. So work package 1 is directly with the food business operators. Work package 2 is concerning regulatory. So here we work closely together with Alda Nepat and with the Partnership for Aflatoxin Control. Then the third is on the level of the farmers, and the fourth is on the level of the food processors. So you can see we really are aiming to deal with the whole, with the complete value chain in a holistic manner. Yes, then you can also see we have this 5th work package on the dissemination and communication. And of course, we also have a coordination work package, very important if you deal with such big projects. And last but not least, we have a separate work package on ethics. Because you can imagine there are a lot of ethic requirements for this project. Because, for instance, we are performing lots of surveys. We are also sampling in informal sector with farmers, with households. So we need to know a lot of sometimes sensitive information of those people. So therefore, of course, we have to deal with a lot of ethics requirements. Then you can see in the middle what we call the accelerator platform. I will come back to that later, but the accelerator platform takes a very important role in this project. And you can see that the idea is that all those building blocks are then stacked together so that at the end we have an improved food safety system for all end users in Africa. The accelerator platform, let me just give you some more detail on that. So a lot of projects create knowledge. So we know there are plenty of projects ongoing everywhere. Lots of knowledge, lots of publications, and so on. But sometimes, unfortunately, a project stops with knowledge generation. Now, what we try to get here is that Uprise doesn't stop at the end of the 4 years, but that through the connection with the accelerator platform, we are going to not only generate knowledge, but also implement the knowledge and to have indeed this food safety improvement. Besides this accelerator platform, we also have an Uprise training hubs, or we will have 5 Uprise training hubs. So in each African country, we will develop 1 training hub, which we hope could be sustainable even after the project. So, and this training hub will be providing training tools to train, for instance, people from informal sector on food safety. A bit more about the accelerator platform. Who takes part in the accelerator platform? So first of all, as I mentioned, because we really want to check if a regulatory framework would be possible, so we collaborate in each country with the National African Food Safety Authority, which is there. This can be a ministry or it can be a specific institute only dealing with food security and food safety, for instance. So we have 5 of them involved in our accelerator platform. We also have consumer organizations because, of course, finally, we are working towards healthy consumers. So consumer organizations, farmer organizations are involved, mentoring organizations. So besides our own mentoring partner, we, for instance, work with AWARD, which is the African Women in Agricultural Research and Development. We also have some other international projects in our accelerator platform. I will talk about it later. Then we have the business cases, which are the food businesses which whom we are working. I come back to that later. We have trade organizations, and last but not least, we also collaborate with our rapid test kit providers. Okay, besides that, what is also very important in our project, I already briefly mentioned that we have quite some PhD students in this project. And for me, working in a university, this was one of my very important prerequisites. I mean, I really wanted to have like an Uprise PhD community that we are building. So it means that on this project, 12 PhD students are involved, which is quite a lot. And also important to tell you is that all these PhD students are supervised both by both by sorry, can you mute yourself? Thank you. So the PhDs are supervised both by a European Union Institute and an African Union Institute. So we have only joint PhDs. So they will get double degrees. They will get a PhD from 2 universities. This was also something I really was insisting on because I know it's very important to have joint PhDs. Let me go a little bit more in detail about the subject of the PhDs, and then you will also better understand what we are dealing with in the project. So we have the first five PhDs are working on a specific value chain in their country. So for instance, PhD number 1 works on the Kunonzaki value chain in Nigeria. I will come back to all these names of fermented foods because Kunonzaki, Akpan, Kokobaka, Unkumboti, and Maziba Mala are examples of fermented foods, and we are particularly working on those in the 5 countries. So that's what the first 5 PhDs are doing. Then we have another PhD student who works on the predictive model development for the early warning system in 5 African member states. And also the ideas that at the end we will develop one early warning app, which will be demonstrated in Nigeria. We also have a PhD working more on the social aspects of this project. So she will work on behavior change and incentives for an improved food safety culture in the formal informality continuum. And then we have also a PhD student who is working on the risk assessment. He will work on risk assessment of cereal-based foods and fermented foods from formal and informal markets in the 3 African Union regions. And the last 4 PhDs, they all will work on the fermentation aspect of the project, of the products, and the mycotoxin contamination, the mycotoxin reduction in those fermented foods. What I also want to show is the picture above on this slide. Here you see, it's not so clear, but you see some of our PhD students. At this moment, this was also in Johannesburg in February, they were trained on communication skills. So more particularly, they were told how to adapt your communication when you talk to policymakers, for instance. Your narrative should be different than when you talk to researchers, or even more difficult when you talk to farmers or the informal sector. You should adapt your way of communication. So this training they received through the Uprise project during the meeting, and yeah, that's also what for me is very important, so that we are not just having PhDs to do research, but also that other skills, that we train them in other skills, and that we really build a PhD community. Now, a little bit more detail on the 5 different fermented foods that we have selected. So, in the west of Africa, in Côte d'Ivoire, we focus on cocoa baka. And cocoa baka is based on maize. It's a maize porridge, a fermented maize porridge that is mostly produced by women at the informal markets. Now, as we all know, maize is one of the most sensitive crops to mycotoxins. Also, in this cocoa baka, different spices are added which are also prone to mycotoxin contamination. So we suspect that at least the raw materials used in cocoa baka production are really highly contaminated. And so therefore we want to study what happens when you make cocoa baka out of these contaminated materials. The second product is akpan, which we study in Benin. Akpan is a traditional cereal-based yogurt based on fermented maize, but also sorghum is added. And it can be mixed with milk, sugar, ice. So it's a very tasty dessert. But also here again, because it's based on maize and sorghum, there are a lot of mycotoxin issues in this product. In Nigeria, it's kununzaki that we have selected as our fermented food. It's a fermented beverage, and it's made from millet, but can also be sorghum, maize, rice, and sometimes also peanuts are added. And of course, we also know that all these crops can be contaminated with high levels of mycotoxins. So also here we study the fermentation and reduction of mycotoxins. In South Africa, we work with umqombothi, which is a traditional beer based on fermentation of sorghum, and also maize is added. And here, umqombothi has a quite low alcohol content, so it's a bit seen as a more healthy alternative to Western beers. But of course, also here there are lots of concern on mycotoxins. And then finally, in Kenya, we study maziwa mala, which is a fermented milk, also produced by women at household level, but also informally marketed. Maziwa mala has a very long tradition in Kenya. It's made by different tribes in different ways. Also, different additives are added. It can be wood ashes, medicinal plants to increase the medicinal value, and so on. Even cattle blood is used to enrich the milk. But also here again, because the cows can be fed with mycotoxin contaminated feed, also in maziwa mala, it's still possible to find mycotoxins. But also here we study the fermentation and the degradation of mycotoxins. So let me now show you some of the results. As I said, we have now finished our first year. Of course, in the first year, it's a lot about coordination, about bringing everyone together, starting with surveys and so on. So yes, we of course expect that most of the results will follow in year 2, 3, and 4, but we already did a lot of work in the first year. And one of the first things that we wanted to better understand was the complete value chain of all those fermented foods. Because as I said, those are traditionally fermented foods, and there is not much knowledge, not much information or analysis done on these fermented foods. So a value chain analysis has never been done before for those different fermented foods. So that was the first work. It took quite a while to make value chain analysis of the 5 fermented foods. I just show an example of how a value chain analysis looks like, but this of course is only the graphical representation. But for every step of this value chain, we have identified the different stakeholders, the different processes. For instance, the complete cocoa baka production process we have now described, and all this information is reported in our value chain analysis. Now, why is it important that we have analyzed the value chain? Because for our next step, which is the close collaboration with the business cases, we are not just dealing with one person, we are not just dealing with one processor, for instance, but we are dealing with the complete value chain. So we have identified the processor, but the processor, of course, knows exactly with who they are working, who are the farmers they are working with, who are the traders, and so on. So we always work in the value chain approach. Yes, and that's a second very huge task that we did, was selection of those informal business cases. Now, how did we do that? So the Commission, European Commission, asked us to do this in a very transparent way. So we could not just select an informal business operator. No, we had to make an open call. So we published an open call, which was spread across the 5 different countries, in which we asked, who is making those fermented foods and who is interested to join our project. So also those business cases, they will receive funding for this. So they are not just working with us for free, of course. So they get funding from the European Commission in order to improve the food safety in their products. So now we finalized those selections. So we have now 10 business cases in all 5 countries. And we are now finalizing the contracts with all of those business cases. And when all of that will be ready, we will also be able to make it public who has been selected as business cases. But you can already see some pictures of the 2 business cases, for instance, that we have selected in South Africa on Umqombothi. Another important work we have done in the first year is concerning the risk assessment. So we have developed and validated a risk assessment toolkit, a very easy to use risk assessment toolkit. It's based on an Excel file. You can just see one page or one tab of this Excel file. In fact, the toolkit was already developed in a project, in a former EU project, in which Ghent University was a partner, and which was coordinated by CNR Italy, which is also partner now in Uprise. So we started from that development, and we have validated it for use in Africa. So it's a complete risk assessment that can be easily done if you have, of course, you need mycotoxin contamination data, and you need mycotoxin exposure data. So you need to know, you need to know what people were eating in the last couple of hours, for instance. So you need information through food frequency questionnaires, and you need contamination data. So now we have the toolkit, and but we don't have the data yet. I mean, at the moment, all the PhD students are sampling, so they are taking crops and fermented foods across their country. They are also distributing food frequency questionnaires to all the households they are examining. So, and with all this information, that will then be used in the risk assessment toolkit. What we've also done in the first year was to do a map and gap analysis of fungal and mycotoxin occurrence in the 5 African countries. So indeed, we did a very thorough literature review to know what is known in Benin, in Cote d'Ivoire, and so on, from the last 10 years. We have made a poster on this, which was shown in a conference last month. And just to give you some brief results of this map and gap analysis, what we have seen was, for instance, that in Kenya, the most analyzed samples were presented. And this was followed by South Africa and Nigeria. So from Benin and Cote d'Ivoire, we have least information on mycotoxin contamination. Concerning the crops, maize, of course, has been mostly investigated. That's also something we already know. And there is also, of course, a lot of information on milk, but there is less information on sorghum and millet, which are also used in our fermented foods. Techniques that were used were mainly LCMS, but also rapid test kits like ELISA. And here, as you have seen from one of my slides, we have we have agreed that we will mainly work with rapid test kits for the analysis of all the samples. There are several reasons for that. Of course, it's less expensive than using LCMS, and because of a lack of capacity in the partner countries, lack of capacity on LCMS instrumentation, then all the samples should be sent to the European partners, and we don't think this is a good idea. So we think it's much better that the analysis can be directly performed in Africa. So that's why we have now bought the rapid test kits. We are now being sent to the African countries. So besides that, there is a lot of work which is in progress, from which I cannot share any results yet because we don't have them yet. So first of all, concerning the regulatory framework, what we are doing now is we are making a SITAN analysis. So SITAN stands for Situational Analysis of the food safety regulatory frameworks in the 5 African countries. So how are we doing that? Of course, there is a lot about that we can find just by desk studies, by literature, by publications. But next to that, we are performing at this current moment surveys to different authorities, to different stakeholders, surveys which will then be discussed in different workshops. So that's ongoing. This is led by our partner ODA-NEPAD. Then, as I said, we are performing crop sampling. This is what the PhDs are doing. You can see some nice pictures of PhDs at work doing the sampling. And they are also collecting agronomic and weather data at the same time. So all of this information will be used in the predictive models. Also, this is not on our slide, but as I said, they're also performing food frequency questionnaires with all the households. And then finally, at the moment, the fermentation processes of the 5 selected products are now studied in detail so that we better understand which bacteria are used and what these bacteria can do in terms of reduction of mycotoxins. So this was a brief overview of the plans and what we already have done. But if you want to know more, if you want to receive, for instance, our newsletter, you can easily register on our website, and then you will get much more detail on what we are doing. So you can just, if you like, go to the website and register on top of the website. Now, also important to tell you is that during this Horizon Europe call, there were 2 projects that were granted under the same topic. And we call it our sister project, Food Safety for Africa, which you probably already know. So Food Safety for Africa is addressing food safety challenges also in the African informal sector. yeah, of course, because that was a question from the EU to do that. But the two projects are really complementary. So, and also I think we will get synergies because, for instance, we have one same partner, which is Auda NEPAD. So in both, the African Union is present. So it means that both projects together can create synergy for the African Union regulatory framework. Now, the Food Safety for Africa project is not only working on mycotoxins, they work on several food safety challenges. And also important to tell you is that we have signed an MOU between the two projects last month during the World Mycotoxin Forum. So in this way, we have officialized our collaboration. Yeah, maybe also I can already tell you that at the moment we are working on a joint seminar for the two projects together in respect to the World Food Safety Day. In June, beginning of June, there is a World Food Safety Day, and we will organize a seminar of split in two sessions, 2 days, 4th and 5th of June. So, but I guess yeah, you will receive more information on that when the program is ready. Now, finally, at the end of my presentation, because I also want to give you some time to ask questions, very briefly, all of this shouldn't have been possible without MyTalkSouth, and MyTalkSouth is a consortium that I'm leading since 2017, a huge consortium where more than those 5 partners are involved. So we have partners all over the world in this program. You can also see, if you go to the website, you can see a nice video about MyTalkSouth. And here I just repeat the aims of MyTalkSouth. It's to educate and train young students and scientists from low and middle income countries and to build capacity through co-creation. It's also about awareness creation and networking and partnerships. And finally, to conduct research and develop innovative technologies in terms of suitable mitigation strategies. So just at the end, some pictures of the consortium. Those were taken this year in Johannesburg. I must say I'm very, very proud that I can coordinate this excellent team of researchers, very, very enthusiastic team of PhDs. It's really for me a pleasure to do this. And I do hope that in the next years we really make a difference and we really can improve food safety in Africa. Finally, here, the last slide, you can just see the names of all the partners involved. And with this, I really want to thank you for your attention, and I'm open to any question from the audience. So I will stop sharing my slides that I can also see you.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. We really enjoyed this section, which I believe I'm speaking also on behalf of the very wonderful participant that we have on this platform. I also believe that the participants have enjoyed the talk from Sarah. And let me also say that the Food Safety for Africa project, the PI, I should say that the first webinar for this year, ACAF webinar, last month was presented by the Consortium for the Food Safety for Africa project. And to also mention that the PI of that project is a member of ACAF, and to also say to Sarah that the Food Safety for Africa project are also collaborating with us for the ACAF Food Safety Conference that is coming up in Africa, and Nigeria is hosting between 25th to 27th of November in Ogun State. And this is not official, but to say that ACAF will also want the Uprise project to also collaborate with us for that conference. We will take that up later officially. So thank you for the presentation. I can see colleagues have started appreciating your presentation, thanking you for the great presentation. But at the same time, we have some questions that have been dropped on the platform, and I've tried to put them together. Colleagues, you are free to also indicate by raising up your hand if you have questions or comments. But I will start with those ones that I have put together from the that are harvested from the chat. The first question says, is the project going to leverage on the work done on the continent by various partners, such as PACA on aflatoxin? Okay, I think you know about PACA, the
Yes.
Partnership for Aflatoxin Continent in Africa. Okay, so maybe I should read out those questions so you note them and now take them one after the other because of time. That's the first question.
Yes.
About,
Should I answer that one? So,
okay, good.
yeah,
Okay, good.
very briefly, but indeed, PACA was involved from the first moment, from the proposal writing phase as well. So we collaborate very closely with Dr. Amare Ayelef and his team, and they are involved through the ADA NEPAD partner. So yes, of course, because all the work that PACA has been doing for all the years is of very, very great value. And of course, we want to further work on that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that quick response to that question. Another question that I also picked from the chat says, how will you select participants in the informal sector? And what numbers are you looking at considering the diverse food items? I hope you get the question.
Yes.
Good.
Yes, for the informal sector, yeah, of course, the selection process is finished already. So we finished this around February this year. But it was an open call. So there was a call launched, and this was spread across the countries. And of course, the call, we had to narrow it down to food processors of those 5 selected fermented foods. So in that way, yeah, the reactions I think we got for each call in each country, we got about 30, more than 30 different applications. And out of that, we selected always the 2 which were standing out. Also, yeah, we had interviews with them. So it was not just on paper that we selected them, but also we interviewed them also to see, of course, if language wasn't a barrier, but because the project is done in English and in French. So language was important, but also, yeah, the understanding of what food safety is and so on. So there were a lot of criteria. All of those criteria were also transparently described in the project. Yeah.
Hello. Has it
Yes.
dropped
Hello.
off? Yeah, hello. Yeah, Prof. Bisaiga, thank you very much for honoring our invitation. I'm just stepping in so that when he comes, then he can.
I think Prof has gone off.
Okay.
Hello.
So yeah, so
yes.
I've taken over.
Okay, thank you, Rose.
Can you hear me? Yeah. So we would like to thank you very much. In 2023, when we invited you to our conference, you willingly accepted. So we take it that you are now a member of CACAF. You'll be supporting us. Yeah. So there's a hand up, Lizzie. Liz, and then I also have some questions anyway. So Liz.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your presentation. My concern is about food regulations. And I was just wondering how that will be addressed, considering the fact that most of these countries don't have food standards and regulations for the kind of foods you have selected. How would you address that challenge?
Yes, so if I understand well, you were saying that indeed there is a lack of food regulations in most of the countries, for sure for the informal sector. Yes, and how we are going to address that. Yeah, so now as we are doing the sit-on analysis, so in each country we are really looking towards what is there, what is not there. So in a lot of countries there are mycotoxin regulations. If you look to the legislation, but they are not implemented. They are not controlled. There is no agency who's really looking to that in the informal sector. So that's also why we closely collaborate with PACA and with Ouda NEPAD, because we are now checking how we can, for instance, have like a certification tool for those informal businesses. If they control, if they do the work and check their food and try to avoid as much fungal contamination as possible, that as an incentive, they will get a certified product. So that's how we think we could maybe increase food safety while not, let's say, really having those informal sectors going towards the formal system, because that's what we understand is they don't really want to become part sometimes of the formal system, because it's very, very difficult then to deal with all the administration and regulations and so on and so on. So, but through certification, we hope we can increase food safety.
So Prof. Obadina, please, you can take over. Okay, then let me ask my question. Can you please clarify for me the microbiome solution that you are developing? At what stage is the solution going to be applied? Is it during the processing, maybe after they have used contaminated grains, and then during processing, then the solution will be able to reduce the aflatoxin?
Yeah.
And then if you can also kindly share with us, whether maybe to me privately, the rapid test kits that you are using for your project.
Okay.
Because we also have some similar projects that we are planning to get some rapid test kits.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes. Just first, the first part of your question, the microbiome. Indeed, this is what we do during the processing. So people start from buying the crops. Also there, of course, we will inform them that it's important already to try to get best quality grains and not start from very, very molded crops, because then even with the microbiome-based solution, you never will go through a zero level of mycotoxins. So first is try to get as clean samples as possible to start with, and then indeed by adding the bacteria, so by adding the ferments during the fermentation, then we know that certain bacteria like lactobacillus and so on are able to break down some of the mycotoxins. Yes, and that's what we are studying. So first we look to what they are traditionally using, what is the bacterial consortium that the people use in their business. Most of the time it's not characterized. They just use something and reuse. So first we want to characterize which bacteria are in, and then we will further identify what those bacteria are doing with the mycotoxins. That was the first part of your question. I hope I answered it in a
Yes.
sufficient way. And the second part, the test kits, yes, also there we have we made, of course, our university asks us that we make this available to all different kind of providers. So it was also an open call, and we have selected finally the one that came best out was Vicam. So we work now with Vicam test kits.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, at the moment we are sending them to the different countries. It's I can also if somebody's interested, it's quite a process for delivery and customs and import taxes and all this stuff. It's really a challenge, I can tell you. But so it's very important when you are buying such kits that you really talk to the provider and be very well prepared for all the administrative steps.
Okay. Thank you very much.
We have some other questions in the chat box. Yeah, you can take over, sir.
Yeah, there's one question also I also want to read. Someone asked a question that can one join or volunteer to be part of this project?
So what we are still looking for is for the accelerator platform. So we are still looking for stakeholders, but not individuals, but organizations. For instance, if your organizations, if ACFA, would like to be involved, we can discuss, and maybe we can also write an MOU or sign an MOU between us. But we are not looking for individual. No, we have everyone. I mean, we have all selected. Yeah, all the PhDs were also selected through official selection processes. So yeah, no, it's at the moment we have. Yeah.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that, Prof. There's another question. The writer says, "Thank you for the presentation. I heard you mentioning award." Okay, so the person is asking that there are a lot of award members on this platform listening to this presentation, that in what capacity will they be functioning in this project?
Yeah, thanks a lot. So Award is part of the accelerator platform. So they are not a direct partner in the project, but yeah, they are part of it. The, let's say, very practical aspects of how we will collaborate is not yet completely clear. But we are, of course, in close collaboration with the head of Award. And yeah, I hope, but I think this will mainly be a little bit later when we already have more results, that Award will come in to further take over some mentoring aspects. Yeah.
Thank you. I think the last question on the chart says, this project is based on crops, that is maize, sorghum, wheat, etc. That why only crops? What about fish meal? Which fish meal that is missed during processing? That how do we address this challenge of mycotoxin?
Yeah, this is a very good question, because indeed during processing, it's not just maize that is used, or it's not just sorghum. Of course, the majority of the product is based on that cereal. That's why we selected for the raw material analysis, we selected only the crops. But during the whole process, which we will follow closely with the informal sector, so with the business cases, we will also collaborate with them on an HACCP plan, so an hazard analysis of critical control points plan. And there, of course, we will look to everything. I mean, we will also look to the additives that are being mixed with it, to other products. So yes, but we won't analyze them for mycotoxins because yeah, we had to make a selection. As you all know, mycotoxin analysis is very, very expensive. Even when you use rapid kits, it's still too much money. So therefore we had to make a selection of what we are going to analyze.
Thank you, Prof. We are coming very closely to the end of this webinar. Thanks for questions and comments that were made. But before we please mute yourself. Finish with this webinar. Let me also inform our participants having the third in the series of ACAF, the third will be on just in June 3rd. The third will be coming up on June 3rd. And the third is still on this challenge of toxin produced by fungi, and that is mycotoxin control in the cashew nut chain. So that webinar, the presentation is going to focus on the cashew nut chain, and it's going to be a collaborative platform for providing that webinar, which is going to be majorly presented by the Brazilian Agency of Food Protection in collaboration with ACAF, which is the African Continental Association of Food Protection, where we have a lot of cashew nuts as well. And in that webinar is also going to be jointly organized with the International Association of Food Protection, IFP, in which our association are members. So please look forward to that. It's coming up on June 3rd. For more information on this will be circulated at a different platform for this. To also say that, as I mentioned earlier, that ACAF is planning to have a conference, food safety conference in Africa that will be hosted by Nigeria November. The flyer is out. Information about submission of abstract is out. Exhibition opportunity is out. Sponsorship is out. So we look forward to every one of us attending that historical meeting. But before I say we come to the end, I'm going to ask Dr. Rose Omari, which is one of the board of directors for ACAF, to tell us briefly about membership of ACAF for those that are interested to join. And after her, Dr. Sholanke will also give us more information about the forthcoming conference. Thank you. Dr. Rose Omari, you have the floor, please.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so So ACAF stands for African Continental Association for Food Protection. And we are an affiliate of the International Association for Food Protection. And ACAF is composed of members from industry, from governments, international organizations, research and academia, and all value chain actors. Once you are involved in food handling, food production, and even food consumption, and you are concerned about protecting the safety of our foods, you are free to join ACAF, because all we are trying to do is to see how we can protect our food supplies from food hazards. So our mission is to be the agent for change in Africa with respect to food safety. So we are promoting safe production, safe storage, distribution, and so on. And our goal is to connect food safety professionals, and students on the continent. So we want to network well in terms of information sharing and all that, how we can work together to protect our food supplies. So there are a number of benefits. We have identified 10 great benefits. It's good to join a professional organization as a professional. There are unique, it's also good to learn about the unique food safety challenges and opportunities we have in Africa. It's also good to have access to information, data on all our food safety issues, food safety problems, foodborne diseases, and all that. And also, it gives us the opportunity to collaborate on various projects. So as Prof. Obadina was presenting, I'm a member of ACAF, and I'm also part of the Food Safety for Africa project, just like Dr. Titilayo, who is a PI. So it helps us to network and develop projects jointly. And then it's also a good platform for sharing information. And also, the most important thing is also you have access to all these educational opportunities through webinars and so on and so forth. You don't pay to have access to all these things. So it's good to join ACAF so that you can have all these benefits. So to be able to join ACAF, whether you are a farmer, we don't discriminate. Everybody, once you have food safety issues at heart, you can join our ACAF. So we have our website. We also have, to be a member, we have membership fee of $25 if you are a professional. And this $25 is for a year. And if you are a student, you also pay membership fee of $10. However, for now, we are accepting anybody. You don't have to necessarily pay this money before you join ACAF, because we have not yet set up a very robust payment system yet to be collecting the membership fee. So in due course, we will come up with all the various means by which you can pay this amount. But for now, you can join ACAF. We have a WhatsApp platform. The link will be posted in the chat, so you can join. And then in the very near future, we are also going to explore the possibility of having a D group, so that we'll be able to reach as many members as possible through the email, because it's not all of us who want to be on WhatsApp platform. So on that note, I thank you very much. Please join ACAF and enjoy all the benefits. Thank you.
Dr. Sholanke, can you kindly, briefly tell us more about the upcoming conference? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Prof. Thank you, Professor Sarah, for the wonderful presentation. Thank you, Dr. Rose, and thank you, everyone, for being a part of this. So briefly, I will be telling us about, giving us more information about the conference that will be coming up in November. So as Professor Obadina has said, the conference is the third one. The first one was held in South Africa. The second one was held in Ghana in year 2023. So this one will be held in Nigeria, Ogere Resort, Ogun State. So that's where the conference will be held November 25th to 27th, 2025. So as he has said, the call for abstract is already out. So to get more information about the submission of abstracts, and to also get more information about exhibition, sponsorship, and the likes, please visit our website, www.acafoodprotection.org. If you visit that website, you will see everything about the conference. We have already started receiving papers, publications, and then people have also started showing interest in exhibiting. Please, I would like to say that we are going to be giving out the exhibition space on first come, first serve basis. So please, if you are interested in any of this, try and visit the website. So we have opportunities for researchers internationally in the region. Then also we have opportunities for practitioners within Nigeria. And there's also opportunities for students that are in the food safety sector. Please, you are all invited. In fact, during the conference, there will be different awards, gift and cash prize awards that will be given for people that have the best presentation. So, and please, I would like to implore every one of us and to encourage us to please be a part of this. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sholari. Thank you. Do we still have the president online, Dr. Odumeru? If it's online, you can just give us a closing remark. Thank you, the president.
Thank you very much, Dr. Badino, and I'd like to thank all the participants that are able to join the meeting today, and also thanks to our presenter, Dr. Sarah Dusega, for an excellent presentation. Thank you very much. This is, I learned a lot. You know, I know a lot about mycotoxin, but this was a very, very a great presentation, because it shows how well, as in collaboration, how we can get research done when you do it in a collaborative manner. So again, your lecture, your presentation, not only about the food safety, but also how we can collaborate on food safety. And that's what ARCAF is all about. And again, thanks to Dr. Rose Omari for speaking about ARCAF, which I will encourage everyone to join. It's a great way for your profession as a food safety professional. It's an excellent platform to be able to network with others. And also, again, thanks to Dr. Sholanke for your presentation on the upcoming conference. So with that, thanks everyone, and we look forward to joining us in our next webinar, which is on June 3rd. And also, again, thanks to Dr. Badino for organizing and arranging our webinars. We truly appreciate that. So with that, I wish everyone a great day, and we look forward to many of you joining ARCAF. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. We'll meet again June 3rd. Thank you. Priscilla, thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.